Investigators with Maine's Department of Health and Human Services are deciding whether or not to discipline a child care facility owner in Falmouth after they found she was giving children melatonin in the middle of the day without parents' consent. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Yacono. That owner says she is appealing the findings of the DHHS investigation. Our Chris Costa spoke with parents whose kids were enrolled there, including one whose son, according to state investigators, was a confirmed victim of that abuse. Chris.
Brian and Amanda, DHHS staff tell us that this child care provider has not necessarily committed any crime, but she has broken state licensing rules. The parents are concerned that none of the state's investigation is available for the public to see.
We trusted someone, and we received an unbelievable amount of evidence that this happened.
These three moms are concerned about what state investigators revealed in letters to parents, evidence that the woman caring for their children gave at least 2 students melatonin in the middle of the day without parents' permission.
My child.
Your child?
Yes, is on record as a victim of abuse.
Laura Putnam just received this letter from DHHS investigators a month ago. It confirms that one of her children who attended Apple Blossom Childcare in Falmouth was in fact given melatonin without her consent. Her child now on the record as a victim of abuse or neglect.
I was furious, just furious that I would entrust my children with somebody and they would mistreat them in any way. The standard of care, you know, when you send your child off to a state licensed facility, is that they are not to be abused, they are not to be neglected. That's the standard of care in my mind.
And she's not the only one. A second parent shared a similar letter with News Center Maine from the same investigator with the same words. Their child has been named in the record as a victim of abuse or neglect.
And there have been no consequences. I can't make sense of that.
Nothing.
This all started back in late August when these parents started reporting their concerns to the state. In December, DHHS investigators confirmed they found the owner was giving kids melatonin without parental consent. They said they spoke with her and put an end to that practice because it violated licensing rules. Then DHHS started a more extensive investigation. Apple Blossom Childcare's license has not been suspended. A DHHS spokesperson told us, quote, "The provider was cooperative and compliant with the department, satisfying requirements in order to continue operation." The owner declined our request for an interview. In an email, she wrote, "At this time, I'm working with a lawyer to appeal the results of the investigation due to a lack of merit based on tainted evidence reporting, uncorroborated evidence, and failure to interview key witnesses during the investigation. Any potential violations discussed during the investigation would have been corrected immediately prior to the conclusion of the investigation, as my program has not had a licensing violation since it opened in January 2012. DHHS still has to make a final determination after her appeal. Putnam and other parents say she needs to be held accountable in the meantime.
There is no record that I have ever seen that exists that says any parent ever gave written permission for that. I certainly did not.
Did you, Laura?
No.
I did not.
The trust is gone and it should never be repaid when it comes to caring for kids who can't speak for themselves.
In other states, giving kids melatonin has led to criminal charges. In New Hampshire, childcare employees were charged with 10 counts each of endangering the welfare of a child. In Indiana, a former childcare director pled guilty to giving kids melatonin without permission and was sentenced to 6 months in jail.
My child was named a victim of abuse, recorded on a record, yet she is still able to care for children. The system is failing.
To be clear, of the women we interviewed, only Laura Putnam, the woman on the right, received a letter from DHHS about her child specifically. Stephanie, the woman in the middle, got a letter from DHHS saying that a licensing rule had been violated. Again, the owner is still in the appeal process. DHHS staff tell us that these kinds of investigations are not made available to the public. The only part that would become public is if the state takes licensing action against the owner. Brian and Amanda, we looked up the inspection reports under the owner's name and business title. Those reports from investigators found no evidence that she violated any rules during routine inspections in May 2024, October 2023, May 2023, or or September 2022. The state is going to make its final decisions available for parents to see on the website that it uses, childcarechoices.me.
Good resource there to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Childcare impacts so many families. Chris, our thank you tonight.